I'm ready. You ready?
Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents, not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. Brand new show this week. All kind of stuff going on. The summer market is here. We've seen a bump in terms of new properties going under contract. Lots of great stuff happening, which is awesome news. So got the brand new market numbers in from last month. They're interesting, right? We saw a little bit of decline in sales for single-family homes. Saw a massive decline for sales in condos. Condo inventory year over year is up over 50%. So we'll talk about what's happening there. But single-family is still doing pretty good overall. We have a major horror story to talk about that a widow with her home, nice home, is actually from my neighbors, basically called herself over $200,000 by listing with an agent who wasn't familiar with those type properties in the waterway, massively underlisted it, shockingly, to the tune, I think, in my opinion, over $250,000 from what it should be. And we'll talk about that and what that means. And just so important, like we talk about in this show, the most important decision anyone makes is the agent you choose. And I'll break that down. This is a case study based on the data, based on what's going on. And I'll tell that story, kind of what's going on. But it's just shocking to see and unfortunate for someone who trust people and who is a widow who's a little bit older. And so we'll talk about that, what's going on. We'll also look at major market numbers from last month. Like I said, they're very interesting, where still prices holding on pretty good, even for condos, which is awesome overall. Our investment fund also bought another property this past week, looking to buy properties cash, as is super simple, super easy. Also looking to buy businesses. If you know anybody looking to sell more so like a service-based business, AC, plumbing, electrician, things like that, let me know. Our fund is looking to be able to do that. And also, awesome news. The brand new national rankings are out from Real Trends. And Real Trends, like the number one most important validated real estate industry data there is. And I'll tell you where we stacked up. We stacked up again very well. The number one real estate team in Myrtle Beach by far. And we'll talk about kind of how we did nationally, how that shows up. But it's super cool to be able to be a part of that from little old Myrtle Beach when we're competing against big, giant metropolitan areas. We'll talk about that part. Also, some markets here, and we're seeing a massive kind of change in the real estate industry right now. And one of my people I know, kind of mentors, said, hey, you're really kind of seeing like the shuffling of the deck. And that's so true. You're seeing a lot of veterans get out of the business. There's a lot of headwinds and resistance in terms of like interest rates and buyers taking a little bit longer. Some of the sellers being frustrated with not getting as much they thought they could in some cases. And so our team right now, we've doubled down on marketing. Again, we're still kind of pushing hard and everybody's pulling back. And our team is hiring top salespeople from any industry. Obviously, if you're in real estate, listen to this and watch this online, reach out to me. We have massive amounts of leads. We spend over 6 figures a month in marketing, and we're growing like crazy. And so anybody you know out there that may be in a different industry, that may be frustrated with it, you feel stuck or stagnant, reach out. We just had 2 amazing people join our team. And they gave this great testimony this week about how they worked at these other places. One was at a law firm, and he was just talking about it was just so negative, and they were trying to, allegedly have these changes with, it's called EOS, which is like an operating system for business, and nothing changed. And he came here and has the most positive culture, the most amazing culture. He's already down 18 pounds since he worked for us, and just, living life through core values, both inside and outside work. And we'll share that, but we're looking to add to our team. I have a real estate school that we can get you licensed. We do discounts on that. So it's super, affordable. And then also we have a scholarship out there. You can learn more about that at sloanscholarship.com. But here's the deal. Been doing this show 15 plus years now. If you ever want to go back and watch it, please do. We stream on YouTube. Just search Blake Sloan Real Estate Show or Blake Sloan Radio Show. It's on there. You can follow me on Facebook at Blake Sloan. You can follow me at Sloan Realty Group. But lots of great stuff. And the only goal we have is to just give you information to help you make better decisions with your largest assets. And for most people, that's their real estate. So stay tuned. Lots of great stuff today.
For any new listeners, Jesse, give me an update on just who Blake is. It's an amazing story. Industry leaders have dubbed him the real estate whiz kid. Been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realtor Magazine, and many other national publications. He has been personally endorsed by Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck. One of those by itself is an accomplishment, but all of them together is unprecedented. Last week, we learned a little about how you and your team work and how a good portion of your success has come from the trademark systems you have developed to help both buyers and sellers here in our market. Recap quickly for anyone new to the show what those are exactly and a quick overview of how they work, Blake.
Absolutely, Rick. And this is the whole DNA why I do the show. That horror story I mentioned earlier is the whole reason I do this show. And I just hope that gets out and people listen to it and take my advice on it. And here's the deal. Everyone makes the same mistake over and over and over and over and over again. It doesn't matter how affluent they are. I find in my experience, the more affluent they are, the worse they make the decisions, right? They want to know, only work with so-and-so's wife or so-and-so that lives in the neighborhood, even though that person lives in the neighborhood, doesn't spend any marketing. They sold 2 houses last year, right? This is crazy. People make this massive mistake of just thinking that all real estate agents are the same. And think about it, it's a service-based business, right? So what determines the success or failure is the human that you choose, and specifically how well they execute. And so if you look at like a doctor, it'd be crazy to say, hey, all doctors are the same. They're not. I think sometimes we kind of feel that, but if you've been around long enough and you talk to multiple doctors, you find they're way different overall in terms of what they do and what they care about and how well informed they are and how much they even care about getting an outcome, right? So if you have a sickness that's life-threatening, do I want a doctor who specializes in that type of medicine, who has experience in healing people with that issue, or I just want to go to the doc in the box, at the quick urgent care down the street, right? No, you'd never go to urgent care for that. You want the specialist who's very good because it's a life or death situation. What's the difference? They're both doctors. They both went to medical school. The difference is the human and how well they execute and how fanatical they are about that type of medicine, what you need help in, right? And the same thing with a lawyer. If I'm charged with a crime I didn't commit, or if I'm sued by somebody for all my assets or whatever it is, I don't want some part-time attorney who my friend recommended. I want the absolute most badass attorney who specializes in that type of law, who has success in that type of situation and has the experience in the courtroom to give me the success I need and the differentiation I need to get the competitive advantage to win that case, right? And you should demand the same level of excellence when you're talking about your largest asset. And that's the only thing I want people to take from this, is that agents are not the same. It's so crazy, but people just still make the mistake of asking the wrong question. They pick an agent. How much do you charge, right? That's the number one question anybody asks. They call it every time. How much do you charge? How much do you charge? Well, for us, it depends what package you get. There's multiple options. We have sometimes you can pay nothing if we buy it. But the reality is that's not the right question. You have to ask questions of like things like, hey, how much can you give me for my house? What's your marketing program look like? What makes you different? How can you sell for more than anybody else? How can you get my house more exposure? Those are the things that you want to make sure that you're asking, but people tend to not do that. And so my one goal for this show, if anybody takes anything, is like, look, the single most important variable that determines your success or failure as a home seller comes to one thing only. That thing is the agent you choose, period. Not the wall color, not the grass quality, not the time of year you list it, right? Not how clean it is, not how many upgrades you have. It's the agent you choose, and specifically how well they execute when it comes down to the rubber meeting the road. And so what most people don't realize, when you're selling a property, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one's handled correctly, guess what? Puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. Anything's handled incorrectly, and that could be anything like pricing strategy, right? The marketing, the photos, order the photos, quality photos. Does the agent answer the telephone when a buyer calls? All these small details make the biggest difference in terms of how that works, but they all can cost you massive amounts of equity. And the problem in our industry is that most agents in our area just do the 3 Ps, and it's really across the country. They, number one, promise you the world to get the listing. They tell you anything and everything to get the listing. Usually I'm number one and I'm the best and so sucks, right? It's the craziest thing. They just kind of say all these things, nothing really tangible that shows what they do that's any different. The second thing you do is put it into MLS, and 3 days pray that someone else brings a buyer. Now, what we're seeing a lot of times now, lots of desperate agents who have had sales before the market was hot, 2021, 2022, slowed down 23, 24, and 25. Some agents' businesses are down 50, 60, 70%. They're cutting their commission and do anything at a listing. And what's happening is they're cutting the price super low so they can get a sale because they're desperate. They're trying to pay their mortgage, trying to pay the rent. It's crazy right now. And so you want to make sure you have someone who has the capital, who has the experience, who has a system in place that's much different than taking some photos and putting it to MLS. And so when I got in the business, like, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. And so I looked at what people did outside of real estate and create a system that's proven repeatable, that we can really implement with two main things: a team of people, specifically a team of specialists, where a specialist can specialize in that part of the transaction so that they're very good. They have attention to detail in what they do in that aspect of it, and they're able to make sure they can create maximum leverage every single point, versus a generalist who's trying to do everything. And as we know, someone who's a generalist cannot master anything. And so you see this happen all the time. For example, where agents just try to master everything and they're not really able to be good at anything. And so there's 100 plus variables in just one listing. Now take account the agent has 5 or 10 listings. Guess what? There's balls getting dropped everywhere. And so the reality is you have to understand that part. And the second part of that overall is having a proven repeatable system that the people plug into, that you can manage those variables proactively. And so what we do is we create maximum leverage every single point. So at point 1, create maximum leverage. At point 2, maximum leverage. At point 3, maximum leverage. You stack those small dominoes up of 118 different variables, creates a massive competitive advantage for the clients. And that's exactly what we did. I created this thing called the Guaranteed Sold System, the only proven system that sells twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. I designed it. It's exclusive to us. We do license it to some agents in other parts of the country, but no one else here except us. For buyers out there, guess what? Same exact thing. The agent you choose matters more than anything else out there. Most people think, oh, what's the agent going to do? Find me the house. There's so much more than just finding the house, right? That's just the cost of entry. I talked about that with my team yesterday. It's like, look, we had a lady who's like, well, what if I find on my own? Well, good, right? We're going to help find. If you find your own, that means it's not something in alignment with what you told me you wanted. Because if there's anything out there in your criteria, I'm going to find it for you. But we have people all the time. They're like, well, I want just something from, Surfside all the way to North Myrtle Beach. I'm like, okay, great. Get you set up, start sending you properties, look and find your properties. And all of a sudden they send you something in Georgetown. Like, why didn't you send me this? Well, that's because you told me you didn't want anything south of Surfside. And so those are some situations there. But even if that's the case, that's just the cost of entry to get into the park to play. You want to make sure that at that point you have understanding of strategy of negotiation. How do you make sure you negotiate the best deal? How do you make sure you negotiate the best terms? How do you structure the offer so that you can have an advantage in that process? And then also the home inspection process to make sure it's a great home inspector who's qualified, and then also negotiate the most important parts after that to make sure that you're protected and get what you deserve off that. That's unseen typically when you look at the property, and then get you that closing table successfully. In addition to that, what most people don't realize is the number one mismanaged variable in the home buying process is interest rate. Do you have someone who's out there helping you shop to find the best mortgage broker and lender based on your current situation, who's going to lend you the most money for the best rate? And those are all things that matter. And so for buyers out there, we designed a system around all of that called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System to get you priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as, like I mentioned, the home inspection to get you to that closing table successfully. And so you want to make sure that you have someone who can break that down for you and who has a system that's proven, repeatable in place. And like I mentioned, the average agent at marketplace sells 4 homes a year. And so you're the one agent who's trying to juggle all the balls. It's like having the same person at McDonald's, their front register, their drive-thru, and their french fries at the same time. It does not work at all. And that's why there's so many times where equity is left on the table, people miss out on the right property, or they overpay for what they want. You owe it to yourself to at least investigate and have anytime we show people, hey, look, here's how the old school model works. Here's the new school model works. Here's a difference. Here's what it costs you. It absolutely blows our mind. We call it shifting their worldview. We change the way they see the entire world when it comes to real estate, because that's reality of how important this is and how important these systems are. And so if you want to know more how it works, reach out, call me. We're working today, working tomorrow, working every day. My number is 843-808-SOLD. You can also watch a detailed documentary about it. Just go to blakesloan.com. It breaks down everything that we do to help get your property sold. I will take a quick break, right back in a second.
Here with the only real estate agent in your market that I recommend, Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Thanks for joining me today. A lot of people may be thinking about selling their home, but they want to make sure they're getting the most money possible. What options do you have available to make selling a home easier?
Hey, Sean, we have 3 unique innovative options for home sellers right now. First, we have a program for maximum convenience, where I represent a large investment fund with millions of dollars looking to buy homes at a fair price in the Myrtle Beach Grand Trenton area. Or we have a program for maximum speed, where I can match your property up with over 100,000 plus active home buyers looking to buy properties here on the Grand Strand. Or 3, maximum value. We have a proven system that'll sell your home twice as fast and for the 5 to 15% more money than traditional methods.
All right, thanks for keeping us up to date. Call the agent that creates the most demand. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corbin. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. We offer several options to home sales, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers in a time crunch, you can agree to sell it by a certain date, pay cash for your home, or even rent it.
That's great. And if the seller has a bit more time,
We use our proven marketing plan to sell it for the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back, Blake Sloan, Real Estate Show. Brand new market update, all kind of stuff going on right now. And it's very, very interesting. So good news is, guess what? You can tell that the summer is here. I was born and raised here. Always remember, and my dad always would say over and over and over, hey, you got to make the hay while the sun shines, right? Summertime is the time that people come in town. That's time you got to make the money. And that's time that as a real estate person, guess what? People are coming in town and looking at properties and buying property. Why is that? Well, they combine their vacation with their home search, right? Because it's a vacation destination. They get the best of both worlds. They usually look at properties 1 or 2 days. And then they enjoy a couple of days after that. But these are people who have kids in school. Kids get out of school. They're here. You can tell we walked around Broadway this week. It was packed. And so that's just what you're seeing. And so if you look at the numbers, they also coincide with that. Interest rates are also down a little bit, which is great news this last 7 days. But like last week's show, and we talked about 2 types of numbers. One's a front windshield. That's like, hey, what's closing soon? What went under contract the last 7 days? That's how you keep a pulse real time of like what's happening in the market. Been doing this since COVID. Anytime you're on 500 properties and 200 million, the market is rocking and rolling, which is great news. So last week's show, the numbers were 511 for 201 million. This week's show, 543 for 205 million. So great numbers there. It is rocking and rolling, which is really good right now based on the friction you're seeing in the marketplace. There's just a lot of resistance out there right now, right? Buyers a little slower. Sellers, aren't getting quite what they want. In many cases, you're seeing a gap widen nationally between what sellers want and what buyers want to pay. And so you're going to see some softening of price, probably a little bit in the future overall. But lots of big properties still selling. In the last 7 days, 19 properties over $1 million under contract, which is awesome. 84 properties over $500,000 under contract, and just lots of big stuff. You saw in Litchfield, $3.5 million, Grand Dunes, Ball Harbor, which is not even directly on the waterway. It was the piano lot, and it's the one that's more inland. So you only have a small sliver. Still sold under contract, $3.1 million, which is awesome for those home sellers. Crazy for me growing up here, seeing that those types of numbers happen right now. Again, that's a partial waterway lot, partial waterway view, 3.1 million. Deberdu, 1.996 million under contract, which is awesome. Battery on the waterway, 1.75 million. Small lot there. And that's when you see 4-bedroom, 1.75 million. Keep that in mind in a second. It's the Battery on the waterway, 1.75 million. And so I'm going to talk about that in a minute when I talk about the horror story, what we saw and what we saw in the situation there with that. And that's something that we've sold a bunch in that neighborhood before, but lots of big stuff happening kind of all over. And so what's that mean? It means if you're thinking about selling, if you've been thinking about selling, you've been toying around, guess what? Now is the time to take action, because we know Myrtle Beach is a seasonal market. Guess what? Our real estate market is a seasonal market. The busiest times of the year are typically spring and summer. Why is that? That's when the buyers are coming to buy, right? They're motivated to buy. And so they're coming here looking at stuff. And so you want to tee your property up when there's more traffic, aka more eyeballs and more buyers looking. And so that just increases the chance you sell. It's all supply and demand based, right? And so that's something that's super important to look. But great news, especially coming to summer, it's relief in a lot of ways where it's been ups and downs, right? Anytime the rates get at 7 or above, you start to see the brakes pump significantly. Anytime it's below, you start seeing them moving a little bit. It's like the train keeps starting and stopping. But the good news is rates back in the 6s. We'll talk about that in a second. And looking at last month's numbers overall, and again, they closed last month, so those are closed in May. If they close in May, you got to think about they went under contract 30 to 60 days prior to that. And so right now for single-family closed home sales, down 3.9% last month. And that compares year versus year. But so last month there's 522 properties closed, but that's up significantly. In January, only 334. February, 345. March, 458. April, 493. And up 522 in May, which is awesome. So it's been up every single month since January. That is a little bit part of the seasonality where you kind of see that happen over and over and over. And so, for example, last year, the busiest months in our market were May. That was by far the busiest month last year at 543. And then June, July were the top 3 months last year. Now, think about that. So if that's the case, when do I want to sell my house? When the most buyers are buying, right? And so those are the next 3 months coming up. Make sure you're thinking about that when you're coming in to your strategy, and reach out sooner rather than later if you're thinking about selling. Sales price for single family homes down slightly versus last year. So down 2.3% from last year at $509,000 for average price. The good news, though, it's up significantly month versus month. If you go back to March, we had a low, really a significant low for a long time, almost a year, of 465,000 just for an average sale price. It jumped up between March and April from 465 to 499, and went from 499 to 509. So the last 2 months, we've seen a significant increase just in average sale price, which is good. And what does that mean? Well, that's because more buyers are buying, right? We always know it's supply and demand driven. Lots of buyers come in town. The seasonality comes. You see the prices jump, and that's why you want to tee it up at the right time if you're thinking about selling. And you can watch back the previous years. The graph is very similar. It always bounces around, gets slower and lower in January, February, and also December. Then guess what? Spring market comes, boom, it starts bouncing up. It's very, very seasonal. It's kind of like a boat, right? Boat gets more expensive when it becomes boating season. When people are coming in town to buy stuff, things can sell for a little bit more. So median price down 4.7% from the same time last year, which is 386,000. So we're down a little bit year over year. If you break down there's different ways to look at it. If you look at 6 months rolling average, it's exactly flat, right at 385,000. If you look at the 12-month rolling average, it's exactly flat. So it's not really declining for the 12 months in a row, which is good for single family home sales. The one thing to watch, though, is inventory. Inventory is up 22% from where it was last year. Right now, there are 5 months of inventory on the market for single family. So it's still technically a seller's market, which is awesome. That means there's more buyers than there are listings. So you still have the opportunity here to get, a decent amount for your property if that's you with that. So also looking at days on market. Days on market right now for average days on market, right at 100 days on market. That's good. It's gone down the last couple of months because it was right at 116 days on market in February. Right now we're at 100. One thing to keep watching, though, is showings per listing. The average amount of showings per listing is down 14% from last year at only 3.6 showings per listing for the entire time it's listed. So if I have a 6-month listing, which is typical, right? You're getting basically 1 showing every other month, which is not very good. If you look at the data of how many showings does it take to get a contract, that's up 4% from last year, and it takes 13. And so if you see it's simple math, simple business math, the average listing gets 3.6 showings, but it takes 13.0 showings to get an offer. You have to have someone who can drive traffic. That's where the question comes in about the agent you choose and understanding marketing. And how do I get to the 13 showings to get enough buyers in there to find somebody who likes it and pulls the trigger, right? It's just reverse engineering the numbers to make sure that you can get the right amount of traffic. And thankfully, that's what we're very good at, is driving eyeballs to properties. And so looking at condos, condo market is taking a little bit of a hit for sure. Right now, sales are down 18.3% for resale condos. Just a couple of days ago, it was down 20%, but agents have put the data in that sold last month, so it's kind of catching up a little bit. But again, sales down 18.3% for condos overall. If you look at condo sales, the last 12 months are down 13%. So you're still seeing that be a challenge. We talked about that many times on the show. Most that has to do with increased insurances, increased HOA amounts, increased assessments, which has been a challenge for a lot of people. If you look at median price, it's actually flat, which is great news. It hasn't declined that much. It's up 0.8% at $242,000 for median price. Average price up 0.8% as well at $289,000. That's great news. Inventory, though, is up significantly, up 8.7 months right now, which is a true buyer's market, up 35.9%. If you look at condo inventory the last 12 months, though, it's up 58.7%. So that's a lot more competition out there. Condo market is very difficult right now. You want to make sure there you have a really good agent. We've been pretty good about getting those done, getting those under contract, because we're very good at differentiating. The same challenge you're seeing there with showings. Showings per listing right now for a condo, 1.9 showings total. If you look at showings to pending, 8.7 it needs. So you need about 4 times the amount of showings than the average listing gets to get a contract, which is why 50% of properties aren't selling. They get listed, they sit there for 6 months, and they have to go somewhere else to a different agent. Eventually, you'll find somebody who can market it, or the price gets corrected. And that's what you're seeing happen. Now, what's been driving a lot of this has been interest rates, right? Interest rates have kind of been up the past few weeks. Last week's show was 6.97. The week before that, 6.99. Right now, it's 6.89, which is good. It was 6.87 yesterday. We moved back down, which is a little bit healthy. 15-year fixed, 6.14%. A 30-year jumbo loan right now is in the 6s, which is great, 6.95%. A 30-year FHA loan, 6.38. and a 30-year VA 6.40%. And so if you want to know how that works, reach out, call me. We have lots of great information and data, and we can help guide you based on strategy. Everyone's needs are different. And sometimes we tell them to wait. Sometimes we tell them, hey, move quickly. It's all going to depend on what your preference is and what your desire and what your needs are. And if you want to know more how that works for you and have that personalized, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com. You can also go to our website and have a free online cash offer. You can also have this portal we have there. I spend lots of money for it. You know, you check your stocks like daily or weekly. People don't really do that with their house, but they should. And so we have this portal. It's an amazing tool. You have your address. You can have any address in the country, and it shows you real-time data, real-time values based on all the top sources. And I can't control that. It's a third-party source. We have no influence on those prices, but you can look real time and see what's selling around you, your real-time mortgage balance, your real-time equity, and watch that go up and down literally every single week. And it makes sure you're dialed in. I find that most people have more than they think they do. And so you can find that at BlakeSloan.com. We'll take a quick break, right back in a second.
We're gonna run 2 or we're gonna run 1?
One, that's right.
WRNN listeners, Clay Travis here. As investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools. And
We'll have like 3 minutes.
get the highest sales price possible.
Like 3 minutes, you think?
Totally true, Clay. And here in Myrtle Beach, that agent is our
Sloan.
friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group.
About 3.5.
Sell
Okay.
a home and buy a new one. Ask Blake about his
Well,
guarantee.
you got about
Get this, Blake
20
guarantees to
seconds
sell your
left
home
in
at
the
a
show.
price and deadline
I'll
you
play the
agree
band.
to or
Okay.
buy it himself. And since you know what your current home will
30
sell by
seconds left in
and
the
for
show,
how
I'll
much
get
you
the
can buy
band.
your
That
next
gives
home
you a
without
bit.
worrying
Do
about
20 because I tend to jump the gun a little bit when that happens. Do 20. 20, yeah.
Line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 five-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing. That's Sloan Realty Group. And tune in to Blake's shows Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back, Blake Sloan, Real Estate Show. Hot buyers alert. My team and I are working a ridiculous amount of home buyers. Look at my properties here in the Myrtle Beach, Grand Strand area. Anywhere from $250,000 to $4.2 million. You're thinking about selling, please contact us immediately, 843-808. So one thing we've been doing here for years and years is putting our money where our mouth is, right? I mentioned we spend about 6 figures a month in marketing, usually at least 6 figures a month in marketing. And we get traffic from all around the globe. And so we have massive amounts of buyers. Our team matches up buyers and sellers. And so we always share every week how many active home buyers we have looking to buy a property. And that's the difference between me and anybody else. Pick an average agent, whatever it is. They don't start marketing until they get the listing, put the sign on the ground. Us, I've been doing it for months and months and months and months, driving traffic from all across the globe. So we have what we call buyers in waiting. Reach out right now, 78,614 active home buyers from all over. I got New York, Matthews, North Carolina, Salisbury, North Carolina, Kingstree, South Carolina, Plainfield, Illinois, Beach Haven, New Jersey. So we got the buyers. Reach out, call us. Really quick, want to get to a success story. Linda owned a home in Conway. Unfortunately, her husband recently passed away. It was difficult for her to keep up with the house, making payments. She was to make the payments as she was getting older. Linda made a decision to go ahead and move to Arizona, be closer to family, but she wanted to be out ASAP. But she also didn't want to leave money on the table. She met with a couple of investors. They realized they were only paying her pennies on the dollar. Thankfully, she was referred to us. That was Sloan Group. She was absolutely blown away. We met with Linda Show. We had hundreds of buyers looking for properties just like hers, and we could help get it sold ASAP and for top dollar. I designed a custom plan, launched our gold marketing bits, professional photos. Within just 3 days, we received a fantastic offer on her house. Now she's able to move to Arizona, be closer to her family, which is amazing. And so that's a lot of great stuff there. What we got left? 2 minutes, probably 1 minute. All right. I want to get a horse story. The agent you choose matters. Somebody in my neighbor, we have a waterfront property on the waterway. Property's worth over $1 million all day, every day. I just looked at the house, 9 houses down, which is very similar. It's actually not in great shape, and it's actually close to a bridge, which is a huge attractor. Listed at $1.4 million, maybe a little overpriced. Neighbor listed property for $775,000. Absolutely blown away. Everybody's shocked. It's a double lot, amazing house. And so, in my opinion, cost that lady $250,000 being underpriced with that. And it just happens all the time, stuff like this. And so the agent actually, I posted something about it online. Agent got mad, called me, but all day, every day, there's nothing similar with a similar size lot that's closed under $1 million anywhere. That's north of there, anywhere the area hasn't flooded. And so the agent you choose matters more than anything. Make sure you get some second opinions. Make sure you check True Values multiple places, and you can maximize your equity. Give us a call, 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com. We'll see you back here next week.